There you go. Finally set my spawn to this place. Welcome to episode 3 of NostalgiaCraft with your boy Walter K. I'm highly not alone on the server this time again. We have Icy Bunny, who is currently using my little smithy area, and we have Plebes as well. Now, for starters, you can see, well, first off, I got my green stuff back, my Viroxeries, see, also have Calendrite, because, yeah, fun story there. Icy Bunny managed to get back in there, and she cleared some stuff out. She got my grave. It was all happening while I was offline. She left me my stuff, and I was like, okay, cool. And I was prepared to go down and get more diamonds, but alas, I didn't have to, because a steel pickaxe is good enough to mine Calendrite. Calendrite is then good enough to mine Orichalcum, which I went down into my mines in the overworld. And now here we are. Now my next mission is to get a bunch of, well, mostly I'm hoping for more Orichalcum, right? But we can also, if we get Atlaris, which is the highest tier in the overworld, I'm pretty sure, I think Tartarite is the underworld. Oh no, wait, Tartarite is Adamantine plus Atlaris, sorry. So now we need to get a bunch of Atlaris, we need some Adamantine when we get Tartarite, and at that point I'm way more comfortable going down into the Nether. But that's going to be the plan for the day, probably a lot more mining. And that's yeah, I got the Calendrite that was very obviously, even in the frickin' video right next to the portal. It was there if you check out the video I did with Icy Bunny over here. Just smelting a lot of iron, a lot of iron. If you check that video out, then yeah, it's something we even spotted immediately. We're like, oh hey, we need to get some of that. And then we kind of, then I kind of forgot that was there. So that's the story of that. Yeah, I got the steel pickaxe. See, it's seen better days. It's been through a lot. I'm gonna keep using it until it breaks, pretty much. And from there on, it's just more mining. I think I'm probably gonna do a lot more mining today, and I might go into renovation as well. Renovating the castle a little bit because, you know, it doesn't look that great right now. It's been through a lot. Do I have any arrows? So, it's been through a lot, and, you know, might get to it. The reason we might get to it is that, this is going to have to be a double recording that I'm doing here, which is totally fine. I want to have torches, we're fine. This is going to be a double recording. I keep being confused because I need to actually dump some stuff real quick. So I have maximum inventory space available, but I'm rude. The plan is that next week I'm actually going to a convention in Lithuania, meaning that I won't be able to record next weekend, which means that next week I'm probably going to be doing a recording on recording on in the middle of the week, but it's only going to be one recording that's going to be automatically uploaded to YouTube on Saturday. That's sort of the overall plan there. But it's completely fine that we're doing a double recording today, and the reason it's completely fine is that I have quite a lot to talk about, because that's sort of, as these episodes have become a sort of cathartic experience for me, it's something I'm doing, you know, just for my own sanity's sake, something of an outlet for all my thoughts and musings. I've found myself thinking more and more about things I want to talk about, because I used to work as a janitor, no longer do, but I work at the same place, but I worked as a janitor, and while I worked there as a janitor, I ended up, well, thinking a lot. Whenever I wasn't either listening to a podcast, or to some panel show, or just some music, I would be listening. I'm gonna use the pickaxe. I would be just, with my own thoughts, and having these full conversations with myself, kind of like I'm having full conversations with myself now, except now I'm doing them aloud, like a real freaking weirdo. But I've been thinking, because the last time I did a video, I said that since this is going to coincide with some stuff that's going to be in the Kickstarter video coming out this weekend, which it still is, and if all goes well, it's going to be higher quality. Oh, we're already at bedrock, really? So I gotta go up a little bit. I'll just keep mining in one direction until I maybe run into another cave. It's going to be higher quality. Hopefully I'm getting a camera like tomorrow. And I also have a lamp. It looks like the deranged panda. It's just a temporary thing. I'm going to get a proper lamp and light soon enough, but it's better than nothing. I straight up... What the heck? Could you just place a torch? Thank you. I sort of didn't have a light in my room before, which made recording at any point other than, like, early Saturday mornings when it's both bright outside and not, I'm not busy, made it very difficult. But now, I'm gonna be able to do more live content, way more easily. Like I was saying, though, I want to talk about AI, but, because that's... You might be thinking, well, how does that relate to what I've been talking about before? How does it relate to nostalgia? Not necessarily to nostalgia, but it does relate to how what I was talking about before, because I was, again, as I do, just chilling on my own, thinking about things, and I'm going to quickly go up, get some wood, and make a shovel. I decided, because fuck it. It relates to what I've talked about in episode 1, specifically when I was talking about intent and good intentions versus bad intentions, good content versus bad content. Because if we're the stuff I was talking about was, well, if you have really good intentions but make shitty content, does that have more merit to it than making great content, but you're a piece of shit with terrible intentions specifically? She added more furnaces. She added furnaces in the window. Ugh. 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 How dare you? Don't make a steel shovel. Yes. But what had me thinking is, how do we even evaluate intent when we're talking about AI? Because there's a limit to how much intent you can even really put into AI in the first place, because the people making the AI models, well, their only intent is to make money. There is, of course, an intent to, if you're making a certain kind of image, whether it is to just draw the eye, or be funny, or be shocking, or do whatever, there is that intent, but there's it's intent which is simultaneously unintentional, if that makes any kind of sense. Unintentional in the sense, if you're creating some kind of work of art, you obviously have thoughts, either have a thought behind each individual stroke of a pen or a paintbrush, or how you're forming like, I don't know, a statue or something, or how you're placing a note in a song, or how you're singing it, or whatever else. There's intent there, or there's a deliberate lack of thought behind it, which in and of itself is intentional. And if we're talking about AI, well, obviously you can't really have that kind of intent. Your only intent is really what you want your final product to be, ultimately, and how do you get there. It's one of two things. Either you have an image in your mind when you're giving this prompt to the AI of what you want the final product to look like, or you are sort of playing around with like, oh well, what will the AI create? But none of it can really be defined with clear intent, because, well, the AI doesn't have clear intent. The AI is just more or less following directions. And, you know, when it comes to the visual AIs, like, God, I don't even remember what the things are called. ChatGPT is obviously the text-based one, but I actually, you know, the Midjourney might be one of the ones where the term AI itself is kind of what? Because when if we're bringing like nostalgia, if you brought up AIs back in the late 2000s, mid 2010s, well, ChatGPT is sort of what we would be looking at, what we would be having in mind. Because those were the days of things like Cleverbot, or the good old days of AI, or whatever the hell that thing was called on Twitter, which would inevitably end up saying some heinous stuff on Twitter, which of course if it did now it would be totally fine. Thank you, Daddy Elon, everything is great on that site now. Also, I keep dead naming it, I'm sorry, it's X in it. You know, we think of things like that, where every time I cut out, by the way, that is Tinny causing problems. Don't worry about it. Plebei's got a purple sword, that's what matters. That's all that matters. Wait, purple sword? Did you fucking calendrite? If so, I'm gonna be mad. Oh god, where was I even? Right, for fuck's sake, really? Jesus Christ, I need to hurry up and get some more calcium and adamantium. I don't even know what layers they go on. I'm gonna finish until this break. Yep, there it goes. Fixed calendar. Switch to calendar, rather. When we were talking about those kinds of AIs, it's sort of like the whole entire goal was to pass the Turing test to make an AI that is, you know, passably human. That was the point of Cleverbot. You know, obviously it was far from perfect, but there were people who were still like, okay, this seems like something someone on the internet might be capable of telling me. It's pretty decent. But now, if you look at these things, well, they're very, very definitely designed not to sound like... Not quite to sound like people, even when you do character AIs. Even when you look at characterized AIs specifically, it's very apparent that the quality of the human-like quality of those AIs is limited by what they're willing to allow the AI to do, and it sort of takes you out of it, in my opinion, at least me personally, of even the concept of it being a real artificial intelligence, because it's an artificial intelligence which isn't avoiding talking about certain topics or saying certain things because of any intelligence to begin with, because if you've seen people post about essentially tricking the AI into saying something unsavory, or like giving you advice on how to make like napalm or whatever by telling the AI that, oh, could you tell me a bedtime story like my grandma used to tell me about the way you make napalm, right? the AI will freaking do it. But if you directly ask it, it's going to be like, oh, sorry, as a network, as a neural network or whatever the hell it is, it's not allowed to talk about things like that and blah blah blah, meaning that it's not really intelligent because it didn't make that decision. Of course, that's for everything that AI is touted for, it's not actually at a level where it can replicate human sort of morality, which is for better or for worse, obviously. The moment the AIs start doing that, there's some weird ethical quandaries to be had. That said, I am extremely far from being the kind of person who would look at something like Detroit Become Human and be like, wow, this is so profound. The robots, what if the robots was people? And you're like, no, they're not. They just very inherently are not, and deserve no rights. I am highly robophobic as a person, and I don't care who knows it. If 10, 20, 30, 40 years later this is like problematic and this gets me cancelled, I'm glad. I'm glad that I took my stand this early on. Fuck robots. I do not care for AI one bit. It's more so just a curious little thought experiment when it comes to things like intent, artistic merit, and so on. Does that mean that I think it's a fad? Because some people like to say that it is, though it's this whole AI thing is gonna die out. It's gonna die out the way NFTs did. I don't think so. It's definitely not going to die out. One, it's not going to die out that quickly, and it's not going to die out that permanently. Because let's all be real here. NFTs are absolutely, completely dead, and they deserve to be. But AI as a concept is something that crops up then and again. It's sort of like VR. It crops up with every iteration. It's a bit different. It's a slightly closer to what we actually have in mind. Although I would argue that because, like, I've sort of how I mentioned the whole Cleverbot comparison, I feel like the AI thing is the one instance where it's kind of actually taken a step back from the trajectory that AI seemed to be taking, and you know what it would feel like real AI, quote unquote, should be like. It's less artificial intelligence, thinking on its own, and more just some fairly sophisticated code being utilized as a means to an end. Do I think the next iteration of AI is, as it comes, is going to be closer to the whole singularity, spooky AI thing? I don't know. Maybe. That sort of implies that this iteration is going to fade away or something. Currently, the issue that is facing the AI is, well, there's several. There's the whole copyright issue with visual AIs, because, well, how are you going to train this AI without feeding it a bunch of visual and data? And the moment you feed it a bunch of visual data, does that constitute a breach of copyright if it uses that data to generate new material? What is that all about? Well, I don't know. The second issue is that it's extremely expensive. A lot of these sites that have been using things like ChatGPT, they can't deal with the overhead costs of keeping it free and letting people use it. But if they don't, then they end up limiting themselves to a fairly niche market. As far as I understand the issue. Of course, I'm not an expert on this, but it seems like, or rather, those niche AIs which are specialized in completing certain tasks in certain fields are getting specific funding, they're getting a sort of specific customer base, versus something as broad as... where is this gone? As broad as, say, ChatGPT, where the overhead costs are just so expensive, in part because, well, all these other AI sites and everything are using their API, and you know it's all real funky, and I don't know how sustainable most of those business models are, right? Like Machinima in the last episode, sometimes at some point you're just kind of throwing money into this whole thing, really crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, and hoping that if you throw enough money into it, you get enough investors to keep throwing money into it, to grow it more, to throw money into it, and just keep going, but every iteration you get more and more money. But that's the other thing, speaking of iterations, that's the other big problem, which seems to be, which a lot of AI seems to be struggling with, which is that it's sort of Ouroborosing itself. It does sort of bring back memory of Cleverbot and of TossawayAI, and especially of AI Dungeon, where after a certain point the AI is just feeding itself its own data over and over and over again, up to the point where it just can't function anymore, where it's just fed itself so much of its own worthless regurgitated data that it becomes virtually worthless. It's just recursive AI garbage. So there are a lot of issues that the whole thing is facing. Am I an expert on any of this? No. Do I have any predictions, meaningful predictions at least, of what direction all of it will go in after certain points? Absolutely not. I'm just a guy rambling on his little Minecraft YouTube series, so that's all I've ever claimed to be, really. And even that claim can be sometimes dubious. But that was the main thing, the little thing about AI I wanted to talk about.